been waiting for 3 decades.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Fuel and Fire podcast. We got another summer edition. We're all feeling good in the sun. I'm here with a few newcomers and a few returning guests. We got Sean and Tyler kind of representing the Oilers side. We got Mac and Simon coming at us with some Flames knowledge. So I'm going to start with you, Tyler, since it's your first time. How's your summer going?
Oh, keeping busy as always. Trying to find some hockey substitutes in the form of lacrosse, but nothing quite scratches that itch like hockey does.
Sweet. Simon, you're calling some lacrosse games, or am I wrong on that?
I am, yeah. I was about to say I'm doing the same thing as Tyler. I'm trying to scratch that itch with lacrosse. I've been having a blast with it. It's been awesome, but I'm excited to talk a bit of hockey here as well.
Excellent. Yeah. I don't know about you, Sean and Mac. I'm cooped up in my house just reorganizing lines on my puck GM. Just going across the league and being like, oh, who's gonna step up this year?
I was doing that religiously in the lead up to free agency, trying to figure out how the Oilers could acquire a big name goalie, but now I'm just trying to spend as much time as possible outside, sitting at the beach.
Nice. The West Coast lifestyle.
The West Coast lifestyle, absolutely.
Oh, nice. How about yourself, Mac?
I've been taking some trips camping and stuff, but I've been cooped up a little bit because, as you guys know, I do social media for all the networks here for WinCom Sports. So I've been doing a lot of the prospect ranking stuff, so that's been fun trying to organize some photos and stuff like that. No, it's been a good time, so I'm enjoying it.
Definitely, we're working you too hard, I think. We need more camping. So yeah, today we're gonna maybe talk about some of those prospects, and maybe more than some of those prospects, some young players in the lineup who might be able to kind of make a difference for their respective teams. In the interest of not showing a strong Oilers bias, why don't we start with one or two Flames players? Yeah. I was looking through the lines, and there's a few people that really interested me on the Flames roster that I was wondering what your guys' hopes were. Maybe let's start with two early 20s players that have kind of cemented themselves as top 6 options heading into this year. We got Coronado and Zary. Where are you guys expecting them to play, and how do you think are they gonna take a step forward this year?
This episode of the Fuel and Fire podcast is proudly sponsored by Ollie Renthula, your go-to realtor in Calgary. Ollie is an award-winning industry leader who makes buying and selling real estate a seamless experience. No matter what your real estate needs are, Ollie's full support will make you feel at home while finding your home. Contact Ollie Renthula today at 403-477-2280 or ollie.remtula@gmail.com and make your real estate dreams a reality.
Well, I think with Coronado at the very least, I think the expectation has to be that he's cemented in the top 6 after that massive contract we just gave him. I have super high hopes for him. I've liked him ever since we drafted him. I don't know. I think that he's going to be I think he's got to take a step up here. He had a really good season. I think he's just going to keep on getting better. I know there was a lot of worries about whether he could ever really reach that 30-35 goal mark. I think this is probably the year he does it. I think anything below that is a little bit of a disappointment, at least in my head.
Yeah, I'm kind of agreeing there with Simon there. Yeah, he had a slower start to the year. I think he spent 2 games down with the Wranglers, and then he came back up, and I think he just got better as the year went on, and he finished in the mid-20s there, I believe, with goals. Yeah, I think the expectation is I think he'll be a 30-goal guy, especially if he's going to play in the top 6.
Right. Well, last season it was kind of him and Huberdeau and maybe Frost in the middle towards the end. It's hard to believe that he started the season in the AHL, right?
I mean, it was good for the guy. I think being that young, he needed a couple more. Maybe he just needed a little bit of a wake-up just to go down there, get his legs moving, and then come back up. So I think it was good for him, and it really showed.
Nice. I mean, he a full season, in the top 6. Last year he was 3rd in team scoring. Do you think he can be any higher than that this year?
I mean, yeah, if he's getting those top 6 minutes like we discussed, I think he could definitely be in the top 3, maybe even 2. I think Kadri will still be ahead of him. Kadri's still got that little scoring touch to him. So.
I think it really depends, honestly. I don't know. Because if Coronado continues to improve and he's playing in the top 6, potentially playing with Kadri, I wouldn't be surprised if Kadri continued to rise up past what he got this year. He only hit 67 points. I think he can definitely get higher than that as well. So I think it's really tough. I think the bigger question is whether he can jump Huberdeau, because I do agree with Mac there. I don't know if he necessarily jumps Kadri, but I could definitely see a world where he's sitting at number 2 by the end of next year.
Yeah, like Kadri scored probably 34 goals this year. So I could see him.
Yep.
Was it 34 or 36?
It was
Or something
35,
like that.
but
35. Okay, so like I could see Kadri probably coming back into the low 30s there. Maybe Coronado's just like reaching that as well. But if they're playing together all year, then I think Kadri's assist totals are probably going to jump up.
Where do you guys think that that Zary is going to play? Is he fully past the likes of Sharangovich, Farabee, those kind of top 9 guys? It's the amorphous blob of the Flames lineup.
I don't really know for him, honestly. He's a little bit tougher of a case just because he's coming off a few injuries. We don't really know what to expect from him this year. I think everybody wants a bit of a step up. He did have a half-decent year when he was playing, but it wasn't really what anybody was expecting. I think a lot of people expected him to have a similar year to Coronado, maybe not in the goal department, but at least in the points. And obviously he didn't hit that. I think the expectation has to be that he just goes right back to that, falls somewhere in the, I don't know, top 4, top 5 of the point leaders. I'd hope he gets some top 6 minutes, but obviously we have a lot of guys up there, so it's gonna be interesting to see where he kind of falls. I hope he gets some good minutes though. He is still a young guy. He deserves the chance to try and make something of it.
Yeah, he's a bit of a weird one with the injury history there, a couple of knee injuries there. And like his contract situation right now, I just don't know what he's worth. Maybe he thinks he's a little bit worth more, but he's got to prove it this year if he gets like maybe a bridge or even a fuller contract. I think he's got to show that. I think he's probably better. He could probably jump Farabee in the lineup, but Sharangovich is a weird one. Like Sharangovich got really good in the last half. Like he had a really bad start to the year, and everyone was I don't know what to say about it. It was kind of a weird one, but he got better. So maybe I think Sharangovich might have a bounce back year. I think he's going to be okay. So I just don't know if Zari's going to be better than him. So those two, I think they're going to be close in my mind.
I think it's just about consistency when you're comparing him to a guy like Sharangovich, because like you said, he's a little bit of a hot and cold player. If Zary can play up to a certain level for the entire year in that top 6, he can definitely pass him. Because I mean, I agree with you, I think Sharangovich definitely has a better year next season. I think he's a lot better of a player than he showed at a lot of points last season. But I do also, I don't know. It's just so tough when you're talking about him because he's so skilled. But there'll be stretches where he just doesn't score, and it's really tough. I don't know. I'd really like to see Zary pass him. I think you're right. I think that'd be really cool, but it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough.
Yeah,
for sure.
Zary is interesting because he's got some flashy moves, but he just doesn't always finish. Like he's shown it that he has the skill set, but he's got to just put it together. And rebound from that knee injury, I think, is going to be big for him, and if he can stay healthy.
Yeah, well, he's kind of been stuck at that half point per game the last 2 seasons, and maybe I'll flip things over to the Oilers side. There's a few young, skilled forwards coming into the lineup, and in Savoy and Howard. I'm going to ask Tyler and Sean, do you guys think that they can reach that half point a game mark? Can they stick somewhere in the lineup? And where do you think that would be, type of thing?
I'm really excited for the two of these guys, for Howard and Savoy, because it's just something different than what the Oilers have been doing the last few seasons. Like they haven't really had much in the way of young talent coming into the lineup. So it's just going to be exciting to see two, higher level prospects for what the Oilers have had lately joining the lineup. And it sounds like they're both decent enough offensively that they should be able to find chemistry with McDavid and Draisaitl. That's where I see them. That's where they should slot in the lineup. Don't go and bring these offensively inclined prospects who are a bit on the smaller side. Don't go and put them on the 3rd and 4th line where they're not going to do anything permanently. Give them a chance with McDavid, give them a chance with Draisaitl, and see what they can do. And hopefully, it's tough to say, what they're going to do points-wise, but considering some of the players that they're replacing that they lost, like the replacement level isn't particularly high when they're replacing a Jeff Skinner who was out of the lineup for half the season. and a Victor Arvidsson who underperformed. So even if they hit 30, 35 points, it's probably still better than what they had last season in those same roles.
I definitely agree with you. I feel out of the two, Howard's definitely the more offensively gifted, and I think him and a player like McDavid will blend quite nicely because he's going to be the finisher, and obviously McDavid will be the playmaker. Savoy's a little bit more of a complete player in all three zones. Like I know they mentioned there's a chance Savoy plays on a penalty kill this upcoming season, and that's something he has done throughout his entire career, both at the major junior and at the minor league level here with Bakersfield. Even last season, he had like a minute and a half on power play or penalty kill every game. I think both players will probably be in and around that 40-point mark. I might have a little bit of a hot take here. I think Savoy is probably more of the Calder trophy candidate than Howard is. But you guys are free to disagree with me or make alternative points.
I think you're spot on. I would say Savoy would get the Calder nods just because he's likely to be the more complete player. However, the Calder is also very often just like points for a rookie. So if you're going with two similarly built forwards, the one with more points, which might be Howard if he's more offensively inclined, with McDavid, might get more attention just because of the simple stat line.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one thing too is both of these guys are undersized, as you mentioned, Sean, and it's going to be interesting to see how that plays into kind of the Oilers' playoff hockey identity and culture and whatnot. Because, like, quite frankly, guys like Howard are getting run over even in the NCAA. So it's going to be interesting to see how he makes that physical adjustment up in the NHL now that he's likely to make the full-time job.
Yeah. This is where I like the fact that the Oilers on their top three lines anyways, like they've got Hyman, they've got Podkolzin, they've got Trent Frederick. Yeah. This is where it's nice to have one of those players on each line just to kind of balance out the sizing thing. And yeah, like you said, Howard trying to figure out how to create space for himself and not get run over. Like that's going to be probably a big adjustment in the first 5-10 games for him.
Yeah. And like, I might be in the minority when I say this. I think maybe a quarter of the season in the AHL might serve him good, just to get some of those timing consistencies down, just to maybe see what the pace and the play is like at the pro level. Because yes, this guy won the Hobey Baker, but he's unfamiliar with the pro level style. And at the end of the day, he's going to be playing against fully grown men. He's not playing against 25-year-old super seniors anymore, right? So it's definitely going to be an interesting case. And the future is definitely bright for both of these players.
Yeah, it's super, super exciting that randomly in the middle of their Western Conference dominance, the Oilers are adding kind of these two high-octane rookies that, you know, how long has it been a pipe dream to have like an elite shooter with McDavid? Now there's maybe a chance with that. I really love Savoy's fit with Draisaitl for sure.
Well, if we're going for the Dry Selke campaign in this upcoming season, and putting another defensively smart forward with him would be a pretty good boost to that.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think either of them really have a shot at the caliber with Demidov kind of taking over some things. But I don't know, maybe the Flames have an entrance in there with...
Correct definitely has a shot.
With an offensive right D, either Perek or Bruchevitz. I keep trying to peddle my Bruchevitz narrative.
I'm a bit sour on the Calder stuff. Even if Perek has a monster year in his rookie season, I don't know. The East Coast bias is gonna Demidov is gonna still take it.
I still don't know how Wolf didn't win it. I'll be mad about that one for a while.
If the Flames just won that one extra game, they converted that overtime loss into a win, they're in the playoffs, and I think Wolf's walking away with that call there 100%.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I was saying it pretty much all the entire second half of the year, but if Wolf didn't win it, I don't know what a goalie would have to do to necessarily win it. I get the whole argument is you need more volume, but he was playing so damn well. It's really tough. I think you just so rarely see starting rookie goaltenders anymore. It just doesn't happen as much as it used to. And I don't know. It's going to be really interesting for sure. We can move back to the Calder conversation though, because I'm happy to talk about Parek's shot at it because I think that's really fun. I think it completely just revolves around how much time the Flames actually give him at the beginning of the year here, where he ends up starting in the lineup. Because I could see a world where they bury him at the bottom of the top six, that didn't make sense. You know what I mean? The third pairing. Jesus.
All right.
But I can see a world where that happens. I can also see a world where he's playing top line minutes and scoring more often than not. Like it's really just going to be curious how they use him, I think, and how he fits in Huska's system. I think that's going to be the real question, at least to me.
Yeah, in my mind, I see Parekh maybe playing. Like in my mind, I think the Flames are going to hold on to Anderson at least till the deadline, and I think you're going to see Ball and Anderson play that top line together because they spend time together. And I think maybe Uyghur and Parekh on that second. I know Uyghur is a right hand shot, but I know he's played left a lot in his career, so I think Uyghur and Parekh might be a good second pairing there. And
I like those pairings
if
a lot.
Parech's doing well, maybe you give him some games where you bump him up, right? But again, or we could go the whole opposite, like you said, and he gets buried on the bottom with like Hanley or someone. So and the Flames do have a bit of a log jam.
But that'd be the most Flames thing ever, unfortunately, to bury Parekh down there. So I don't really know. I hope he gets a little bit of power play time as well. I don't know if that's necessarily in the conversation, but I think if the Flames give him the right opportunities, he's definitely got a shot at it, or at least a shot at putting up the numbers to get it. I think the question after that is just whether he can beat out it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of questions. Yeah, exactly.
What about you, Tyler? Yeah.
No,
what do you think of Parekh?
Even with Parekh, I think not shoving too much ice time his way right away is probably beneficial too, right? Because he is just adjusting the league. You want to shelter him from maybe some of the more rougher matchups. So maybe playing on that second pairing is more ideal than playing on that first pairing for him, just so that as we go back, just to balance out his usage and to help his development along. I think he's definitely one of the defensemen with a shot of winning it, or at least being like the prime defenseman in that conversation.
Maybe.
We'll see how the season goes.
Yeah, and with the way the Flames schedule set up to start, like I can see maybe Parekh getting the Vancouver game, and then they go to Edmonton the next night, so maybe he sits that game or vice versa. So maybe he's going to get a couple games here and there. Like maybe he's going to start slow and if he does play well in his couple games, then maybe they'll give him more ice time. But I wouldn't be surprised if he's still adjusting and they gets the call from Team Canada finally, and maybe he gets that edge back on his skate and he's not falling, and he can actually play for Team Canada this year. Maybe the Flames kind of want to do that, lend him out there, give him that chance.
Yeah,
if he's
for sure.
not,
I think that is the conversation because I agree with both of you for sure. When it comes to development, you take your time on it. But I'm more meant with like the Calder conversation. You just give him as much time as possible to get as many points because, like you said, that generally is what it comes down to, unfortunately. But yeah, I do. I think for his development, for sure, it's not a bad thing if he's playing second line for most of at least the first half of the year. And yeah, playing in the IHF at this point in his development would be pretty fun to watch, I think. I think he'd skate circles around those guys. So yeah, I don't know. I'm down for any of it. I think he's going to be super fun to watch this year no matter what. So
definitely. I mean, it always happens with the offensive defenseman, the young superstar. I think last year with Hudson on Montreal, it was like, when is he going to get power play one time? They're slow playing him. Oh, come on, he's better than so-and-so. It always becomes a very monitored issue of how they're being used in the lineup. So definitely can't wait for all the complaining to happen there. Yeah.
I just don't think the Flames should be rushing too hard on him. Give him some time. I think he'll make the team out of camp. I definitely do think. I think he's way too good for the OHL at this point. I just don't think that's a point to send him back. But again, the way the Flames depth chart is on defense, they have a log jam. They're going to have 8 guys opening day, I feel like, because they're not moving on from some of these guys. So I could see, again, like I said, Parekh coming in and out of the lineup to start maybe the first month. And then, if he gets his footing, then you could see him in back-to-back games, keep going. And the way the Calder landscape's looking again this year, I just, I don't think there should be any pressure on him to go out and try and win it, especially with Montreal, with what they got down there. And off the top of my head, I can't think of a couple others, but I know there's some good Calder competition out there.
It's going to be a good competition for sure.
Yeah, maybe we'll flip back to the Oilers for a little sec. There's some interesting wild card coming into the lineup. David Tomasek, maybe a healthy Trent Frederick, and of course, Flames legend Andrew Mangiapane. So I wrote down last year we have Perry and Brown both with 30 points, Skinner and Arvidsson with 29 and 27 respectively. I think you can look at some of the Mangiapane, Frederick. Are they going to fit in around the same area, do you think, offensively? Sean, you alluded to Frederick's size and kind of having a truck on each line. You forgot Janmark, but that's no problem. So yeah, what are you guys expecting from some of those players, either Tomasek, Mangiapane, or Frederick?
So I think Tomasek is a bit of a wild card to even make the team. I think he might end up kind of being an in and out of the lineup guy, kind of rotating in as the 13th forward, so it's hard to really get a projection on him. But I do think Frederick, because he was dealing with that ankle injury all playoffs when he looked not very good.
Yeah.
He should be healthy and should be able to get back to his full capabilities for this season. We even saw rumblings that he might get some time at center and get trained to play center, which might impact his usability in the lineup and stuff, jumping up and down. I think 30 points is probably fair for him. That seems to be where he kind of leveled off in his career so far. I think I'm personally not super high on the Mangiapane signing. I think he's just kind of another one of the same rotating cast of like speedy, somewhat okay forwards who just don't really find a fit in the lineup. Like the team has cycled through so many of these guys over the last 8 seasons, and they just never really, they don't often fit as well as they should. There's the odd exception, but I think he'll probably just end up being one of those. So if he can put up 30 points and kind of replace what Arvidsson did last season, then great. That's all we can really ask of him. I think he'll probably spend most of his time on the third line, but if he's fast enough, then maybe he fits on the top line, like in random situations.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with you there. I do think one of the things that I've noticed with the Oilers this last offseason is they've had a lot of unconventional targets. So like Tomasek, like Lepinen, Josh Szymanski, and even Quinn Hudson and Carfagna, or however you say that.
Carfagna? Yeah.
His last name. Like a lot of those guys are wild cards. They might play really well, and then we might be seeing them for like half of the season. Alternatively, I do think like Mangiapane, and I like the signing because I keep thinking back to his Flames days where he was, slightly productive, good two-way guy, and I think he could be a replacement for like a Evander Kane, right? Because they have to work with what's given to them. And out of the guys I mentioned earlier, I wouldn't be surprised if a guy like Quinn Hudson gets a decent amount of games this season, and that was probably one of the signing bonuses for him to sign with the Oilers, is that he would get a fair NHL shot. And it makes me wonder how much secondary scoring we're going to get out of these wild cards, right?
Yeah, especially when there's kind of the uncertainty with Savoy and Howard, and it's like maybe if Howard needs some time in the A, like Tomasek can get a little look, or Hudson can get a little look, something like that in like a more offensive role.
Yeah, and like because their directors of pro scouting wouldn't be getting guys like Tomasek, who's 29, out of the SHL if they only had AHL ambitions for him, right? So you have to think that they factor into the puzzle at least a little bit.
Right. And I think part of the good thing with like Knobloch and his line blender is that you can kind of like, what I notice is that he's able to kind of get, especially wingers, in like decent usage. So still some maybe offensive usage, but without putting too much on their plate. So they'll still be around like 13 minutes a game. Even though they're taking a lot of shifts with Draisaitl, they're not being like, you're just a full second liner yet. It's like, okay, we can pick and choose our spots for you to get a good offensive shift here and there. And, and then just load up Hyman and Draisaitl with McDavid, and then you can sit there on the bench after that. Yeah.
Going back to what Tyler said about Tomasek getting a shot in the NHL, I'm pretty sure it was him that Bowman had specifically publicly said that like they're very hopeful on him. And it sounds like the organization views specifically Tomasek really highly. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him get like an early shot. And yeah, with the wingers, it's like they've got 3 or 4 winger spots that are immediately, you're going to have guys cycling into the lineup. You're going to have like all of the wingers basically, with the exception of maybe Hyman most of the time, that can jump and play on any individual line in any shift. Like that's the blender is weird, but it seems to work where they just have very situational players that they jump up and down. So, okay, maybe they might start one of these guys on the third line, but he could be on the top line taking shifts with McDavid in 10 minutes. And they'll swap through that the entire game. So it's like the starting lineup means nothing with this team.
I'm going to also try to get our Flames fans back in here and say, what can you tell us about Mangiapane that we might not know? What's the inside scoop? How do you think he's going to fit in on this absolute wagon of an Oilers team? Yeah.
I don't know if Simon wants to lead this one. I do have some thoughts, but I'll let Simon take the floor real quick.
Sure. I don't necessarily have much to say on his last season with Washington, to be honest with you. I didn't get to watch much of that. I know he took a bit of a step back, but I can say for the most part, when he was playing really well for us, when he had that 35 goal year that everybody loves to talk about, a big part of that is I really felt like his awareness was really good. It seemed like he was just always in the right spot for a lot of those goals. Like he wasn't necessarily, it's not like he was McDavid skating through 4 guys and shooting it. No, he was just in the right spots to receive a pass and score in that moment. And I think when you're playing with guys like McDavid and Draisaitl, I think those chances are going to go up. And that's why I do like the signing for the Oilers. I think it makes a lot of sense. He's one of those guys who does have a bit of an offensive upside when playing with the right guys. That has been shown. So I don't know. For you guys, I definitely like it a lot. For the Flames, I don't like it at all. I'm definitely a little pissed about it. But I don't know. I think it'll be interesting to see for sure. I wouldn't be surprised if he has a bit of a bounce back year. I know you guys were saying 30 would be a good target for him. I think he definitely goes above that, to be honest with you. I would be pretty surprised if he ended up there. I guess it does depend though on where you use him in the lineup. I think that'll be a big part of it as well.
Power play time is tough to come by in Edmonton. That's
Well, yeah, when you want to rock your McDavid, Draisaitl, Hyman.
Yeah, Bouchard stays out
like,
there the whole 2 minutes. Yeah.
It's like when you're running that for 2 minutes. Yeah, it's hard. Yeah, Mangiapane's interesting signing for the Oilers. I know he had that 35 goal season, but since then he kind of had 43 points and then 40 points and then 28 in Washington. I remember his last year in Calgary, the last half there, we were frustrated with him, seeing him out there. Like he just nothing was going his way. He just couldn't put it in. But you got to remember that 35 goal season, you know who his centerman was for most of that year? It was Michael Backlund. So if he was doing that with mostly Michael Backlund on the Flames, you put him with McDavid or Draisaitl, if it gets a shot in the top 6, I think he may go back up to 30 goals, but I think he is good for mid-10s in his goals if he's just playing in the bottom 6 and maybe 30 to 40 points. But you put him McDavid, maybe he has a weird year and he jumps back up to 30 goals.
So you think that he's going to get more goals than Sharangovich?
I didn't say that, but I mean, if you put Sharangovich with McDavid, yeah, definitely. But yeah.
Now that's an interesting question.
So if Mangiapane's not working out for Edmonton and Sharangovich having a rough year, do we do a flipperoo like we did a couple years back?
Luckily, the Oilers would not be able to afford that.
It's funny. I don't even know if I'd necessarily want that, but I don't know if that's because I'm too. Yeah, I don't know if that's because I'm too high on Sharangovich or if I just don't necessarily want that reunion. But I don't know. I don't know. That'll be interesting. I think it does just depend on where the Oilers plan on using him. I know they gave him a pretty decent contract, so it'd be a little weird if he just sat on the 3rd or 4th line for the entire year. But I mean, who knows? Who knows, right? Because like you said, power play time is a little bit tough to come by with the Oilers, but you never know what could happen if he slides in on that. Even if he's not playing with McDavid, if he's playing with Draisaitl, I wouldn't be surprised if he has a jump. I think that it's funny. I think that 28-point season is a little bit of it's a blip to me. I think he jumps past that. I think he definitely goes above that this year. Because I mean, we saw pretty much his entire time with the Flames. He was like, even after that 35 goal season, it was 43, then 40, right? Like back to back seasons with at least 40 points. I think he probably hits around there if he's playing like decent minutes. But like, if he somehow gets on that top line, I mean, the sky's the limit,
Yeah,
right?
well-
Like, we've seen that. Like, he can score. That's the thing. Like, he is a good scorer. I just think he needs a little bit of help. I think that's the big thing. Like you pointed out, his center was Backlund that year, but I also think, who knows? He's such a weird
It's a
player
sweet
like
gig,
that. Yeah, it is a sweet gig. Who
You
knows?
gotta remember that 22 Flames team was firing on all cylinders across the board, like
Yeah.
the best top line in the league, pretty much. And then we went into the playoffs and ripped through 7 games it took for Dallas. And then I don't want to talk about the next series. I think we're just gonna skim over that one.
Oh, we
but-
can-
I actually
talk
forgot
about that
what
if you want.
happened there, funnily enough.
Yeah, I forgot what
I have
happened.
no-
though.
I have no
Greg, can we stop
recollection
on
of
this
that.
one for a minute?
Yeah. I remember I was worried at the start, and then in the end,
That first game.
I mean,
It's
that
funny.
first game was
I
also
remember
kind of
remember
rough for the
beating
Flames.
Dallas
sorry.
that year, and then blacking out for like a week or two. It's kind of funny.
I don't know how Greg or Sean feels, but I feel the combination of Hyman, McDavid, Howard could be a good look for their first line of the future for the Oilers.
Yeah,
I very much like that.
it was hard
I think
not to put
ahead,
Howard
Greg.
with McDavid and
Yeah.
Savoy with Draisaitl, and then give them all one of the trucks to play with, like Hyman with McDavid. Obviously, I love the Podkolzin Draisaitl chemistry. Even though they didn't score much, it's like you could kind of see, like, especially on the cycle, they were finding each other in nice ways, you know. So I think that might pay off a bit more this year. Frederick is obviously a wild card, but yeah, it's hard not to put them like Howard, McDavid, Savoy, Draisaitl. That's
Yep.
what we want.
And yeah, totally agree with you, Tyler. Like that combo just seems to work from a lineup chemistry perspective. When you've got your play driver, your creator in McDavid, you've got the finisher in Howard, you've got the net front presence, the cleanup guy in Hyman, like that just seems perfect. And the Draisaitl Podkolzin chemistry, like I'm pretty sure Draisaitl specifically wants Podkolzin on his line for that reason. Like he asks for Podkolzin to be on his line just because he likes the way he plays, likes the battle, likes the board presence, likes the fishing up loose pucks. So much about Podkolzin's game to like. Hopefully it pays off more this season because that would be nice for them to score more off that combo.
So with that being said, question to all of you guys: how do we feel about Nuge as the center for Mangiapane? Then is he a better center than Michael Backlund?
Offensively.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, offensively for sure, but I don't know.
Defensively,
Yeah.
not.
Defensively, Backlund, I think that complemented Mangiapane, you know, and Backlund's pretty good passer, I believe. I think he's still a good passer, so I think that really helped Mangiapane. But like, yeah, I think Nugent Hopkins probably a good center for Mangiapane. I think.
for sure.
Yeah.
His
No,
skill set's
for
good
sure.
for
I
him.
think that is the nice thing with the Oilers this year is even if Mangiapane isn't on that top line, he's still going to get some good players to play with. Obviously, you guys have Nugent Hopkins he's an excellent center, right? Like he might be playing on the third line, but he's an excellent player. I think that would work pretty well. I still am hoping a little bit that Mangiapane slides up that line, but it's going to be hard for him to do it. It's going to be really hard for him to slide into that top six. So it's gonna be something to watch for sure.
I mean, I think
Honestly, like go ahead.
Sorry, I believe Mangiapane is probably your third option because I know you have Howard and Savoy. If one of those two guys are, you know, having some struggles, I could see Mangiapane taking one of their spots pretty quickly, getting in there. But if those two are good, then yeah, I think again, Nugent Hopkins is probably perfect for him.
That was basically going back to the line blender conversation from before. That one period they could put Howard on the top line, and then the next period it's Mangiapane with McDavid. Like they'll flip wingers around like nobody's business. Like
Yeah.
Kapanen and Janmark will end up on the top line for random stints in games. It's all over the place. So looking at a lineup sheet, looking at projected lines is pretty much useless. It's basically just who's starting from opening puck drop.
I like the improvisation going on, you know. Just let it flow. Let it flow.
Definitely
Well,
that
especially-
hot spirit, eh?
Yeah, exactly. I hate planning, so this is it speaks to me. No, it was interesting to hear Knobloch kind of talk about that. At some point in the playoffs, he was talking about just different game states and trying to predict what the other coach is going to do, and then kind of like reacting off of that. So almost like a American football, like offensive or defensive coordinator, where you're pushing and pulling. It's like, oh, they're used to seeing this like offensive look for McDavid's line, and then boom, Janmark's with them. What are you gonna do now? Something like that.
Here's our secret weapon on the top line, Kasperi Kapanen.
Oh yeah, no, it worked. It's like he's scoring goals and they're still mad at him, you know?
Right? And oddly enough, it worked. He came to Edmonton off of the waivers, and he had a solid start that got him a whole bunch of positive vibes in the fan base. Scores the goal against Vegas to win the series and gets a contract out of it. Like, it worked.
The old blender, gotta love it. So one thing that was maybe a bit too blended, especially for Flames fans last season, was the number of starts that Wolf got. So my next spicy question for everyone is, who's going to get more starts, either Pickard or Prosvetov?
I mean, if Skinner's Skinner, then yeah, he's definitely going to get more starts.
I definitely
Pickard's
say
definitely
Pickard.
getting more starts, but yeah, I think
I think that's also just a little bit of hope out of me. I'm hoping we're playing Wolf against 65 games. Like I hope he's getting that type of like elite goalie workload. So I don't know. It really does depend on the type of season Skinner has, though, for sure. If he has a bounce back year, I wouldn't be surprised if it's pretty even. If he has a similar season to last year, then yeah, it's definitely going to be Pickard.
I think a counterpoint from the Oilers side is that the Oilers, as a team, they like playing in front of Pickard. The skaters enjoy when Pickard is in the net, and they do not hesitate to put play him for a game or two, to not like overplay Skinner, because I think that was an issue one season, his rookie year. I think he got a bit fatigued by the end. It was kind of his first pro year with that type of a game load. But because the team likes playing in front of Pickard so much, that there's no hesitation to split the workload a little bit more, especially when you've got your backup goalie. Like, quality of play aside, your backup goalie has a 22-10-1 record last season. So it's like I don't think there's any hesitation for them to play Skinner 50-55 games and let Pickard take the rest. Hopefully that would be a low enough volume for Skinner that Pickard plays a lot more than Prosvetov will.
For context, last year, Wolf was the 17th most games with 53, and Skinner was the 20th most games tied for 19th with 51. So they were right neck and neck last year. Sounding like, since the Oilers have a bit more hockey to play after the regular season, maybe they want to keep Skinner a bit fresher. Flames fans.
He also missed a lot of the last month with an injury.
Right. The concussion right before the playoffs.
Yeah, that's a good point, especially with the last two playoff runs you had. And they're definitely going back to the playoffs. The Oilers, I don't think they'll miss. So yeah, maybe you don't work Skinner too hard. You give him probably 50 something games. Wolf, I think the Flames are going to want to run him, because our backup situation, I just don't know how this. I don't even know how to say his name properly, but I just don't know what he's going to be like.
I'd have to look at it.
Just throwing darts in the dark.
If the Flames are committed to finishing 16th again, they probably want to play Wolf as much as possible, because that gives them their best chance to finish like one point out of the playoffs.
That's the game plan. Sean gets it.
That's the game plan. I don't know.
I find it so interesting how opposite these two teams are in terms of goaltending. Like, even Edmonton, they look at all the prospects they have just stockpiled in their minor leagues and beyond. Like, there's like 6 guys fighting for 4 spots, like realistically like 5 spots maybe, right? And then the Flames, it's Wolf and then who, right?
The concession guy, yeah.
Oh, the concession guy.
Would it be Cooley?
No, actually, let me look them up. There's a couple of guys I think that maybe back up in a couple of years, but I don't think, like, you got to remember the Flames. Remember that Flames went through a debt pretty much since Kiprusoff to Markstrom.
Was it
a revolving
Irving,
door?
Parsons,
a revolving door. Yeah, it was just a mess.
Reto Berra.
Shout out Reto Berra. Absolute legend.
Yeah, well, I think Oilers fans would probably bemoan some of their adventures. I mean, and we
Oh
both
yeah, that's
kind of had high watermarks at Mike Smith, right?
There you go.
Maybe Cam Talbot.
Yeah.
yep.
Oh, the joys where we had we just pretty much swapped goalies there. That's fun times.
Smith had some of his best years of his career in Edmonton. That worked very well.
Yeah, well, it's with Tippett, right? That was like away from Tippett,
Yeah,
it never
exactly.
worked. And Dallas or Phoenix or Edmonton, it was, with Tippett, it was great.
Like, I don't think Mike Smith was terrible in Calgary. Maybe in the playoffs.
No, he
I think
wasn't.
when we got to the playoffs, it was kind of rough. I remember some rough times with him, but I don't think he was that bad for the Flames. I
He
liked
was
the
just
signing
fine.
when they first signed him. Yeah, I think he was fine. I don't think he was bad or lights out, but
Yeah, there were some highs, there were some lows, but honestly, I think looking back on it, I don't think there's any bad blood there. I think we signed him knowing he wasn't Carey Price, and he wasn't Carey Price. I think that's kind of the way I'd put it.
and he gave us one of the best Battle of Alberta moments of all time, I
Oh, yeah.
believe. And Talbot, like that was the best exchange. Just flip teams, all that business, and they had that respect for each other, so they went for it. And I was like, yeah, I love that. That was probably one of my favorite games of all time.
So I got just like a couple more questions maybe that I want to cover, and maybe some opening up the floor if anyone has some last takes. Uh, my one thing I wanted to ask Flames fans is about Morgan Frost, and if you think he's gonna stick, if you think he's gonna really take hold of, because I think you want Backlund and Coleman to be that third line and kind of a buoy, a barometer of like, if you can make a Kadri line and a Huberdeau line that works above them, you're probably in good shape. So can Frost, I already asked about Zary, but can Frost really be a part of that solution, do you think?
I think Frost will be a solid option at number 2 if we have Kadri still here. You got to remember Frost and Farabee. I guess they played. They were just before the deadline acquisition, so I think maybe giving them a fresh year, starting with
Yeah.
the Flames. I think Frost will be better than he was. Farabee, I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence about him, but Frost for sure. I think Backlund with his age, I think he's better off at third line center, playing with probably Coleman again, and maybe just give him someone young like Gasol or Klapka. Really, I can see Frost playing with Zari on the second line, and then I don't know the other winger. I gotta look. Maybe Shortgovich probably.
Yeah, I really like Frost as a player. He didn't necessarily have the best start in Calgary, obviously. He didn't necessarily do what everyone was hoping he'd do after we acquired him at the deadline. I'm really hoping he has a step-up year because I like the way he plays. I think he's really fun to watch. And I think if he can step his game up, I'd love him to be in Calgary for the next little while. But he is a little bit of a tough situation because obviously he hasn't necessarily lived up to a lot of the potential that he has shown in the past. So I don't know. It really does just depend. I think with Backlund starting to regress, there is going to be that spot available. Like there is definitely a nice slot for him to slide in on that second line, like Mac was saying. But it's really going to be interesting to watch for sure. I think he's going to have the opportunity to take it. I really hope he gets it from Huska. I hope Huska gives him some good minutes to try and show what he's got. But I think at that point the ball's in his court. It's just whether he can pull it off.
Nice. I'm very curious about him for sure. And then maybe just to end things off, just in case we miss anything, I'll give everyone a chance to maybe talk about a player that they think is going to have a surprisingly strong season for their teams. Why don't we start with Tyler?
For the Oilers, I am a big fan of Savoy. Obviously, if anyone's read any of the Oiler articles, like I've written about him quite a bit. I think just his skating, his senses, and his compete level are going to drive him above expectations. And as I said, I think he's the better of the two incoming top prospects that the Oilers have, and I think he's going to really impress some people.
Sean?
I'm really hopeful for Trent Frederick, mostly because some sunk cost fallacy going on here that they gave up quite a bit to acquire him, and then gave him an absolutely massive contract off of a quite small sample size. But I do think that his play style, kind of replacing or being like a younger, more dynamic Evander Kane, I'm hoping that his play style fits in well in the lineup, that he finds a little bit of an offensive flair, that he kind of mimics a bit of a Zach Hyman trajectory with the Oilers and takes off and has some of his best seasons now that he's in this organization. He seems to have speed. He's got size. He's got a little bit of an offensive touch. If he can put all that together, I think he'll become a very important part of the lineup.
Yeah, I like those picks. I think we're one of the only places that has Savoy ranked ahead of Howard, and I think a lot of us had it that way. Yeah, so and
it's so close.
It's close, but there's something to be said about proving yourself in the AHL versus in the NCAA, even if it was a Hobie Baker.
There's a lot of stuff you can get away with at the NCAA level that you can't get away with at the AHL level, right? It's just that different level of it's that step up. So.
And the fact that Savoy has such a high high praise for his two-way play and his defensive game already coming through the AHL, like that's something that's worth a lot when you're showing up as a rookie in the NHL, to already have like a defensive game that's worth something.
How about you, Mac? Who you got for the Flames having a big year?
This might be a shock to especially the win column crowd.
Yeah.
I think Rasmus Andersson is gonna
That's a
be
good pick.
solid again. I think he's gonna bounce back a bit. He had 11 goals last year, which was 2 more than the previous year, and he matched his total from a couple of years back. Points wise, he took a bit of a nosedive. Well, actually, he only went down 8 points, actually, but I can see Rasmus Andersson going back to that 40-point mark. I'm hoping that happens, and I'm hoping that if he's playing well and Zane Parekh is like knocking at the door hard, and then maybe we should take some biters at the deadline to try and move him. I'm kind of against moving him at sometimes because of the history of some players wanting out of Calgary, and I know Anderson, he's saying these things in his interviews that he wants to stay and he wants to be here. I know that's what players say, but I just don't like the idea of trying to run another player out of town.
Yep, I totally
even if
agree
he's-
with all of that. I think I'm still definitely on the trade Anderson side of the fence for sure, just because I don't know if I want to pay him what he deserves. I think that he's a little bit older. He's a little bit out of our window, I think, for contention, which I think is the argument everybody's been making. But yeah, I would not be shocked at all if he has a massive contract year here. And I think that kind of works out for both parties. Like you said, I think that would that would work out for the Flames. We get more for him, and it works out for Anderson because he gets a big paycheck in July of next year. But I'm going a little bit off the board with mine for a player who I've had a lot of praise for, and I think will probably be getting his first full year in the NHL next year, probably, hopefully, who knows? I sure hope so. I'm going with Adam Klapka, the 6'8" Mario Lemieux. Just randomly, once every 20 games, he skates through 6 people and scores. I'm hoping that he does that a lot more next year. I'm hoping he gets close to 70 or 80 games on that fourth line. I'd like to see that a lot. And I think if he does, I wouldn't be surprised if he's scoring 20, maybe 20 points, 20, 30 points. I'd love to see that for him. He's so fun. He's so fun. I hope he gets a lot more minutes.
I'm so happy that you brought him up because he was going to be my pick. Although
Yeah?
I think I'm even crazier than you. I'm like, he's the perfect guy to put with Kadri and Zary. He's going to top line Klapka. Someone needs to do the dirty work. You know what I mean?
You know what? I'm all for it.
points.
I'm all for it. I like that
35
pick a
points,
lot
yeah.
more. That's more fun.
I mean, I want it. I want it. The other one, since he picked him, I'm gonna have to go with Rory Cairns. If there's an injury at center, call him up and don't put him on the fourth line. Like, I wonder how he would do in Frost's spot. Maybe I'm crazy, but like, what are we doing here? This guy, he's not very big, he's not very strong, he's not very fast, and somehow he keeps getting it done. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
I do got to go back to Klapka real quick. When Simon was talking about Klapka, I was in my head laughing because I remember that one of those goals where he ripped by some players. The big man just did it. But it reminded me of a video I created of that goal where I put the overlay of the goal record and I put 900 something goals to go for Klapka, and I think that blew up. That was a funny moment. So I was talking about that and ripping past those guys. In my head, I was laughing so hard. So I'm glad you said something about him.
I mean, it.
Can I say something too? Like
Yeah.
I really like your pick of Roy Cairns because not only is he a guy that's on the rise, but I think he's also a testament of what those late round picks can turn into and what kind of more long term planning, especially using even
The ECHL.
yeah, the ECHL in Rapid City can like result in, right? Because there really weren't any expectations for him, and now look, we're talking about him on this podcast as a possible fringe NHLer out of nowhere, right?
I love it.
He's a hockey RKO, like.
Yeah, no, I'm like unapologetically, I have him. We have our internal prospects voting every year, and like a huge nerd, I vote for the Flames for some reason, even though I'm not always covering them. Last year, I think I had Klapka the highest rated out of everyone. This year, I have Karen's the highest rated. It's a good prospect pool, but still, I gotta say, like, they're not the typical things, especially with the Klapka thing. Like the bigger bodies, sometimes it takes a little bit longer, and like he's continuing to grow every year. He's doing a bit better. So Simon, I love the Klapka shout out, man.
I love that you
about
said that you want to see him get some first line minutes because I
Oh,
totally
yeah.
agree with you. I wasn't willing to say that as like my prediction because I don't think that'll happen. But
I have
holy
nothing to
smokes,
lose, yeah.
all bad blood with Huska goes out the window if he starts giving Klapka the first line minutes. I think that'd be so fun. I don't even necessarily think it would work. I think, but I would love to see it. I want to see Klapka out there for the opening face-off
We
every
need a
game.
battle of the players who are going to blow through an entire team with Klapka versus McDavid.
Right.
Then.
Yeah,
Right.
there you go.
Let's see how that goes.
We'll see them lining up for the opening face-off. You know?
I see a Klapka versus Matt Rempe fight when the Rangers come into town. Oh,
Now I just want to see on opening night against Vancouver, Lomberg, Pospisil, and Klapka line up there and start another line go off from like 10 years ago. I don't know who the Canucks have that are tough, so like I don't know how that would go.
Vander Kane.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
no clue.
You put a Vander Kane up there. That would be great.
It's
Another
Kane, it's a
locker room
1v3.
storming session.
All right.
Oh.
Well, how about we kind of call it there, guys? We're getting close to an hour here. Next episode, we're going to be recapping some of the summer showcase that's going on. There's some Flames presence with Muse and Reshny and Perek is there, right?
Yep.
So maybe we'll see some of you guys again. Until then, thanks for checking out the Fuel and Fire podcast. It was a great time. See you soon.